Suck it.
Hey, what's up guys, Radku here, back with another Yu-Gi-Oh video, and today is going to be an Eldlich deck profile. Now I actually haven't made a list for Eldlich on my channel at all, I think, which is very weird considering the fact that outside of the channel I actively play it quite a bit. So today is going to be a sort of Stun Eldlich, the pure trap variant. Now this is the only variant that's been seeing massive competitive success, and I understand why. I've gotten a solid win streak off of this deck, and it is a very, very good deck. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So starting things off, I max out on 3 copies of Eldlich the Golden Lord. Even though I'm playing Card of Demise, it's just a Saki one of, so even if I do hard draw into the Golden Lord, it's honestly fine because it helps going first and second, and it kind of makes up for the fact that I'm only playing 2 Cursed Eldland. But honestly, 3 Golden Lord is what you should be playing, I believe, in a build this heavy on traps, because it's one of your few ways of OTKing, and getting it into the graveyard is very important. So with that, I play 2 copies of Lord of the Heavenly Prison. This card is also very, very good. It allows you to protect your back row, which is something that you really want, considering the fact that even though your Eldlich traps float, your other cards do not, so you want to protect them as much as possible, and Lord of the Heavenly Prison does that very, very well. On top of the fact that it's just a 3000 beater that could end up just winning the game for you, and the fact that it's level 10 means it combos very well with Golden Lord, so that way you can do easy OTK plays with the trains. So then, rounding off the monsters, I play 3 copies of Inspect Border. This card is really good. I really like it in this list specifically because you only use about 1 to 2 monster effects in an average turn, so you're allowed to play around this very easily. So either way, you are always able to utilize this to its full potential, and then you can just swarm the field with your monsters depending on how you want to OTK, and this card is just so free in the deck. So with that, the spells, I play 1 copy of Card of Demise. This card's so free in this deck. And then I play 3 copies of Prosperity for digging. You could cut this for Extrav, but I felt like it conflicted with Demise, because Prosperity, if you hit into Demise, you're able to add any of the other cards. But with Extrav, if you draw into Demise, then it's very, very annoying to play around. I don't like running 2 Extravs and 3 Prosperities because I feel like it's just a terrible ratio. But I feel like this is how I like to play my draw spells. I play 2 copies of Cursed Eldland. 3 is not necessary. You can dig with Prosperity if need be, but honestly 2 is fine. You want to avoid having a ton of spells and traps, and the fact that the Eldlich spells and traps float a little bit better than Cursed Eldland just makes it a little bit better to use the graveyard effect of Golden Lord. So for the spell elixirs, I just play 1 of each of them. I'm honestly thinking about cutting White Destiny for another copy of Black Awakening, but White Destiny helps play around graveyard issues, so that way you can get back your cards and continue to keep your advantage game going and potentially OTK. So then for the traps, I play 3 copies of Trap Trick because you play a lot of traps, 3 copies of Torrential, 3 copies of IDP, 3 copies of Strike, and 3 copies of Imperm. Now, I felt like this was the most efficient hand trap lineup, or not hand trap, trap lineup, just because these are the most impactful ones this format. Now, stuff like Imperm could be cut for things like certain floodgates like summon limit, but I felt that during my normal turn, if I was trying to go for games, summon limit ended up hurting me more than helping me, and even though you can send it off of Golden Lord, I'd rather not waste the material to have to play into that. So that's why I don't play any floodgates in this deck, because honestly any of the other ones just clash with how the deck wants to play. So I felt like this was the optimal trap lineup. For the Eldlich cards, I play 3 copies of Eldlich of Scarlet Sanguine, 3 copies of Conquistador, 2 copies of Hequero, and 1 copy of Golden Land Forever. I felt like this was the most efficient lineup to play, and the Golden Land Forever came up a lot in playtesting to help play around back row decks. But that is it for the main deck. Going into the extra deck, I play 1 copy of Gustav Max, 1 copy of Dora, and 1 copy of Libe. So Dora is actually really good for stalling out games, and is honestly just really strong as just a beater if you need to go into Zeus. And then the trains on the other ends are just good OTK makers. Gustav Max comes in clutch, because one thing that I found out during playtesting is that if you got the 2500 Eldlich and the 3500 Eldlich on field, you can almost always go for game by just attacking directly with those and then overlaying for Gustav Max to take out the last 2000 life points, which is very good. Then the Libe is just an insane monster. It's able to take out all of your opponent's cards. It's just really good and is amazing for closing games. I play 1 copy of Sky Palace. I don't really like this card, but it's a placeholder right now, and I wanted 1 more Xyz. This is usually just banished off of Prosperity. I play 1 copy of Pleiades for the Golden Land cards, 2 copies of Zeus because of how many I play, and you could just banish 1 copy off of Prosperity. I play 1 copy of Access Code and Boral Sword for OTKs, 1 copy of Unicorn to get rid of stuff and to set up plays with Access Code, 1 copy of Cerberus and Phoenix for outs, 1 copy of IP, mainly just to banish, but also it can help you get tokens off the field as well, depending on the situation coming up, like if you're against Dino, because you can use a trap and a token, get them both off the field, so that way you don't have to waste your Link Spiders. That way you actually have a disruption, and you got one of your traps engraved for follow-up, which is very good. And then I played 2 copies of Link Spider. So that is pretty much it for the list. Let me show you some decent plays that you can pull off with this deck. So this was a pretty basic replay, just showing how the deck can have easy access to OTKs. My opponent made me go first against Sidra, and honestly this hand was pretty good going first. Even though I didn't have access to a Conquistador, I could still set up some pretty good plays. I just set 4 and pass. My opponent draws into a Nastur, which honestly isn't the best, but they used a Future Fusion, normal summon the Nastur, and then activated the Machine Dupe, specifically in the Imperm column. So I was able to chain it to negate the Nastur and negate the Machine Dupe. He set 2 and pass, but then on my turn, on my end phase, I used the Sanguine to special summon 1 from deck. I did this specifically because I had 1 in hand, which meant I could play around stuff like the Zombie Lock, and this helped set up plays to where now I have follow-up in case my OTK is stopped. So then I drew into a Torrential, used the effect of Sanguine, set the Conquistador, then used the effect of Golden Lord, discarded the Torrential and it to send the Nastur, specifically because I wanted it engraved for the OTK. Then I used the effect to send just the Strike because I wanted to keep this for follow-up, to summon the Golden Lord with 3500. Now I switched this one to attack, and keep in mind there is no Zombie Lock right now. I attacked directly for 6k with 3500 and 2500. Then when my main phase 2 came up, I just overlaid into Gustav Max and was able to burn for 2k going for game. But keep in mind, during your when your turn came back around, you could potentially use Golden Lord to send this set Conquistador, because you could activate it on the end phase, so that way you have access to it, and then use the Golden Lord to send it if you hadn't OTK'd to get it back, and then you have access to continue your grind game out, or just OTK next turn if you weren't able to. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the deck. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, let me know what you thought, and let me know if there's anything you would change about the list. I understand that I didn't play any floodgates, which might seem weird considering how easy this deck can out the floodgates, but like I just didn't really like how the build was shaping up, and I like a more proactive game. But yeah, that's pretty much it, and I'll see you in the next Yu-Gi-Oh video. Peace, guys.